Hello everyone and welcome back to Scale Sandbox. Yes, we are back and today we are going to be finishing off this town area, which is, if you didn't know, what we did in our last episode. So if you want to see how we made this whole section, make sure to go check out that video. But for now, let's get building. So the first thing I want to do is just add a little bit of extra road and have this come out this way and along here. And I don't know why I didn't put this in last episode, but I suddenly realized I want a row of houses along the top. And of course, the only way to get that is having another road. In fact, before I place this down, I actually need to put the houses in first so I know how much room I've got. And instead of going with a terrace, I think I'll go with a semi-detached house. Yeah, I'm definitely going to need a little bit more room. And of course, just like the terraces, I will come along and add some color and material variation to these houses. So now we can move the road out to the front. And even though I didn't do it with the terrace houses, I am going to properly put in the pavement. I don't know why, I just feel like doing it today. Always me putting in unnecessary detail. Now I can start adding the white stripes down the center of the road. And last but not least, I need a double white stripe to show that this is the end of a junction. So now that's all in, I can go through and change up a couple of the colors of these houses. There we go, I've played with the colors a bit and I'm pretty happy with how that is looking. Now, because we had to get rid of all the detail in the garden to help with frame rate, I am just going to put in a couple of trees up here. Something like that is just going to make the top ledge there a little bit more interesting. And actually, we still have a bit back here that's left open. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come and extend out this retaining wall and then also the land behind. And I'm not going to put houses up there, but it does just sort of finish off that corner quite nicely. Now, of course, we will be adding some more buildings up here to sort of flesh out the town a little bit. However, I want to focus on this bridge now. And instead of it being a more modern design like this, I'm going to go with a nice old archway. First of all, I'm going to start with the brick bases, then extend the brick fully upwards and bring a top section across. So now I've got this sort of base. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add the arch in and then we can add the railings on top. Unfortunately, we don't yet have a tool to rotate objects around other objects, so it does look like I will be doing this by hand until we do. And I already wasn't happy with that first angle, so let's try again. After about 3 or 4 attempts, that might be the circle that I am going to use. Let's see what happens when I copy this onto the other side. You know what? I know it does go flat in the middle, but I think that's about as close as we're going to get. Let's use that. Now I'm going to fill in this fun little gap we've got with a nice wedge. I did have to do it in 2 parts, otherwise we were going to get some bits poking through on the underside. So now this is all solid, what I can go and do is work on a nice little trim to go around the edge of this archway. Now, once again, it is not perfect, but I think that is pretty good, and I'm happy with how that's looking. So now we've got the bottom base shape, we can start working on the railing, which I think is what's going to make this look really, really nice, actually. First of all, I want to add these sort of cylinder pillars to mark the ends of the bridge. So I'm first going to add the large dividers in the railings. And I'm also going to give them these trims on the top and bottom because, of course, we can always add more detail. So I decided to swap out the cylinders over here for blocks because then I want cylinders to go in between. And these are going to sit in between the larger pillars, something a bit like this. And the final thing I want to do is add a little bit more of this nice grey detail because I think it adds a really nice bit of contrast. And I think something a little bit like that is good to finish off this bridge. You know what? That is absolutely gorgeous. I love how this turned out. Now the other side is looking a little bit drab, so let's copy everything we did over here onto this side. First of all, let's bring the arch trim over, and then we can try and copy across the fence. And you know what? You would never know that has been copied. And there we go. We've suddenly got ourselves a very nice olden day bridge. I'm really proud of how this turned out. Apart from the fact this one doesn't have any trims. Hang on, let me go fix that quickly. And there we go. Now the bridge is all done. So while it is nice to have these more modern style of houses, I think considering we've got this old bridge and this old building over here, we should try and build some older buildings as well for the town centre. So the first thing I'm going to do is add in a little plaza for this town square. And now we can start adding buildings off to the side around here. Now, since I am going to be building so many, there is absolutely no way I'm going to go into as much detail as I did for these buildings or the bridge. I'm probably just going to to add these blocks and then some sort of windows and doors to make up the facade. And that will pretty much be all I can do. And I've left a little gap here because it's nice to have multiple ways to come into the town square. Now, first of all, I'm going to give these all a separate color. So now I'm going to just add some basic trims to these buildings. Okay, and after spending way more time on that than I should have, let's now put in some windows and some doors and be done with this because, I've spent way too long on this. Once again, I have also built this way too big for the scale of the trains, but you know what? At this point, we're just going to ignore that. And you know what? I definitely think this was a trust the process kind of situation because there was a lot of points where I was considering not doing this, but I think now we've got the doors and the windows in, this actually looks really cute and I'm really proud of how this turned out. But since I've not got much time left, let's press on with finishing out this square. I'm going to come down here and copy over this little planter that I've got going on and put a whole load of these along the edge of the square. And I think this is a good time to start using the more detailed trees. Already, that is bringing the square together nicely. We're definitely going to need a couple of benches in here. And finally, I'm going to add a couple more planters and fill them up with a couple of these coloured bushes. And there we go. You know what? After quite a while of it not looking that great, I think this turned out really, really nice. Now, this is definitely not a sustainable way to build, as in I can't go around creating whole towns, building individual buildings like this. But I think once in a while it is nice to add in that little bit of detail. However, now that is done, we can go and finish off these last roads by adding in a couple more houses. I thought I'd sneak a detached house in there just for the fun of it. And I've given them all a bit of a unique colour and texture, leaving this as the last bit to do today. Let's first of all add in the houses, and now we can give them a bit of a unique colour. And there we go. I think that is pretty good for this town. And you know what? I may have gone a little bit overboard with details and putting all the houses down and everything, but I really, really think it just adds so much. And it just gives you a lot to look at, you know, when you're coming through on the train. So obviously next episode, we will be continuing down this way and out onto bigger and better things. But if you did enjoy today's episode, make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.